Yo, what's up, CFO gang? It's your boy J Tuck, real Dallas Cowboys fans. Stand up. And as you see, not a guest, man. This is my brother, man. We got Akoye in the building, man. My dog. What's going on with you, bro?
Man, what's up, Tuck? What's up? You should probably put me on the other side if you can, so that I can look like I'm looking at you instead of away.
All right, let's see if I can. There we go.
You see, there you go. There you go. What's up with you, man? Good seeing you, man. I'm appreciative, man. I like doing work with you. Every time we do is something major. And then behind the scenes, man, Tuck is a great guy, man. I love what you do out there. Likewise, and always looking out. So I never had no issues with Tuck. Tuck, my man.
Yeah, man. It's likewise, man. You know what I'm saying? We don't come around solid people, or you know what I'm saying, these days often. When you do, man, you definitely cherish it. Akoye is definitely one of those ones, man. So go ahead, man. Y'all know the drill. Salute to everybody in the chat. Like the content, share the content. Let everybody know Tuck and Akoye is live. So if you're familiar with the community, you know what's about to go down. You know we about to get into some film. We about to have some football talk. You know what I'm saying? So get your notepads out. This is probably going to be a coaching session, but I hit my dog Akoye up on Twitter today and like, yo, bro, let's rock. He said, hit me. So we set this up for y'all, but we really want to make sure that y'all are educated because we are just weeks away, pretty much days away, 13 days away from the Dallas Cowboys kicking off out there in Oxnard. And I know a lot of Cowboys fans are excited. But before we start that, man, everybody represent. Let me know where y'all from, man. We got Sin City. So I know my dog Sin City's representing Vegas in the building. CFO in the house. What's up, man? What's up, everybody? My dog Kelvin. Salute to everybody in the chat, man. Keep y'all questions flowing. We definitely gonna dive into this football talk, man. This is what it's all about, man. It's coming together, having football talk is what we do. You know what I'm saying? It's why I feel like Akoye, the Dallas Cowboys content community, is the best out there. Not just saying because I've been part of it, but it's just because we built. Man, we got Richmond, VA in the building. You know what I'm saying? Salute to Richmond, VA out there.
What up?
My dog says, what's good, Akoye? All right, bro.
What's up, Flames?
All right, so let's go ahead and get to it. I'm going to ask you this question, Akoye, because, you know, a lot of people, right, we all know, unless you live under a rock, the Dallas Cowboys defense was bad, not saying it politely, but a lot of fans, they say, hey, the Dallas Cowboys defense was bad. It was Matt Eberflus, which I do agree. But people really don't talk about the specifics of what Matt Eberflus was doing to make the Dallas Cowboys defense as bad as it was. So when you looked at Matt Eberflus's defense last year on film, because I know you watched a lot of film, you're a junkie just like me, bro. What were some of the things that you saw that was on film? Actually, let me get this queued up, that you saw when it came to Matt Eberflus's defense that was causing issues last year.
Well, one, he was very indecisive. So you remember in the beginning of the season, he came out, he was running, we were running like 97% zone. And that was due to, I thought anyway, Trayvon Diggs' injury. So when you have an injured secondary and you don't quite trust those guys back there, you kind of get vanilla on the back end. And that can stifle what you're trying to do as a defensive coordinator. So yes, it is Matt Eberflus, but it's not like, I don't think it was ineptitude only. I think it was a perfect storm. I'm pretty sure that he thought he might have been coaching Micah Parsons at the beginning of the offseason. He thought he would have a healthy Diggs and a healthy Bland. So to his credit, he didn't know what he was walking into. However, once he got down to it, it showed. That's where in my opinion, he got exposed, or the exposure showed. It was his inability to adapt, not only in games, but just in mid-stride during the season. He seemed to be very stubborn. And this is and we had one of those guys before who was also a pretty good defensive coordinator before he got here. In Nolan, when Nolan got here, it was very similar, because those guys have a tried and true tested way of actually deploying their personnel as far as a defensive coordinator and calling plays and so on. And when they don't have the personnel to do it, they still stick to it, right? And that was his issue when it came to me. A lot of small packages. I thought that, he would do that a little bit too much with Osa and Solomon Thomas at the same time on the field, because you can see on the film, not just in the Detroit game, but in multiple games, whenever those big guys would sub out, whenever Kenny Clark was out, we got ran on. Sometimes we got ran on when he was there, but the reason being is we were playing in a 4-3 and nickel primarily, and guards were able to fire off on our linebackers whenever they wanted. And if you didn't have, which we didn't have Kenneth Murray and Shamar James were not guys that can just shed easily, right? So if you didn't have a linebacker that can shed seamlessly within half a second or a second, you were in trouble. You were in trouble because those guards were going to get to the second level almost every play.
Yeah, and it's funny, right? This is the symmetry that Akoye and Tuck is on. I got a film clip to show Cowboys Nation a perfect demonstration of that. So let's go ahead and get back to, it was a blur, because I remember watching this game thinking, dog, we just can't mess with these Broncos. I give up, right? So let's get to the Broncos game. All right, so this is the sideline view, but I really want to pay attention to the end zone view. This is my dog, RJ Harvey, off to the races. All right, so what Akoye is showing, let's go ahead and get to the end zone. All right, boom. All right. So what Akoye is talking about is leaving offensive linemen uncovered. All right. I can't illustrate because it won't allow me to do so, but 77, right? He's not covered. The center, he is not covered. 63. Now, I believe they're going to shift on this play. But what this allows to do is for these guys to get up to the second level on 50 and 55. And when you have smaller linebackers, and I've been telling everybody, Akoye, I showed my college football, photo on Twitter.
Yeah, you were safety.
I was a basketball player converted. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? I was a small forward / linebacker, right? I did not like these big guards and big tackles getting up on me at the second level. I was a slip guy, meaning I could slip around bigger guys if the play allows me, the gap allows me. But punching through, being violent, coming through those guys, I was 225 soaking wet. It just wasn't happening. So you'll see that on this play right now. I think we do shift. All right, so all right, boom.
Pause it a little bit further.
Go back.
No, go up forward some more. Right, and right after right here. There is nothing stop. So when you have guys that's 340 pounds as a linebacker, you beating you to the spot. Your only strength, and you just now alluded to that with your size. Your only strength or your weapon is your speed and your footwork and your ability to be first. And and this scheme wasn't allowing those guys to do that. Because they're not going to run through these guys right at all, and even if they were able to, you're still picking the side, so it still gives a running back a read because he's reading the color on the back of the guy in front of him, and that lets him know where he needs to go and how he needs to adjust based off of how that linebacker plays this block in the first place. So if you're doing this every play, if these guys are, and they were, firing off and getting to the linebackers almost every time they wanted to. And this isn't just the Eberflus thing. We had this problem dating back to when Jalen Smith and LVE was here as well, when we were running, with Quinn and those guys. Like, we had issues then as well. But it just kind of exacerbated itself last year because it was like the perfect storm. We didn't have the firepower or star power on every level. You know, we've been touted for hearing this term hero ball, right? We had heroes before. We didn't have the heroes last year. But we had heroes that can overcome some of these things to make a play before it got crazy, right? A guy runs this down from the back end, D-Law comes and does something amazing. You know, somebody slashes in there and cleans this up. But when those guys aren't there, you get back to the fundamentals of football. And when you see fundamentally how bad this was, you know, it's no secret as to why Christian Parker's here.
Exactly, because we'll talk about a few things of what this is Osa, right? So you see Osa's already, he's slanted, right, on this tackle shoulder. But watch on his first step, he gets his face crossed already. You know, so that's the whole reason for you to be slanted, bro, because that's supposed to give you the advantage. All right. Yeah. So now let's go to the linebackers. All right. So typically when it comes to the linebackers, what you're reading is RJ Harvey, right? He's what we call the dot, right? He's the running back, right? So you should be mirroring his very first step. So he's moving to the left.
No movement whatsoever.
There's no movement. He's already flowing. So RJ Harvey is already flowing left. And what do you guys see? The offensive line is flowing left. And then what do you see where it comes to our linebackers, Akoye? They just standing.
From safety to linebacker, everybody just
nobody's moved. The ball is snapped, y'all, Cowboys Nation. It's go time. And you still in the stands, nobody is reacting. So that's one flaw right there. All right. So they're not getting off the ball quick enough. Okay. Now, boom, when you are Shamar James, all right, you know what your gap is, but since you do have that delayed reaction getting off the ball, like Akoye saying, 77's uncovered. Now you got a big guy coming up to that second level. Now you got to make a decision. Are you going to slip around him? But now you really can't come into this gap, which is this B gap, I believe, or it's A gap.
It's the A gap just moving. It's moving.
The A gap moving, right? Yeah. So you can't get into your A gap, which is your assignment. So now, boom, here comes the action. You have big on small ball, face cross from Osa, big on small, big on linebacker, but he has to leverage. He's sealed. And now it's just RJ Harvey off to the races. And watch what happens to Shamar James. All right. And I like Shamar James. I just did a film session, but this is just something he's going to struggle with, right? Just naturally. He's getting washed out. All right. And look at this massive seed that's created, blocked up on the ground, sealed. All
now this wouldn't have been a touchdown though, right? You know whose fault this is as far as it being a touchdown.
Let's take a look here. Who was supposed to have outside contains it?
Watch Elam on this play. Elam has an opportunity. He doesn't do anything.
All right, Elam 20. All right.
Yep. Watch this. I remember this play. Elam in 19. Watch this. Him and Kenneth Murray's getting pushed up the field.
Right.
And watch Elam. And you got Osa backside right now. If Elam can make this play, or at least dive at his feet right now, Osa makes this play from the back. Watch Elam. He gets held a little bit, but he didn't fall. He didn't like sell out for that play. Right. And I think that's why he was gone shortly after this too.
You didn't really see anyone showing effort to disrupt this play. You see what I'm saying? And that is something that I think Christian Parker, because you see, look at
how much space there is here. But just stop. If you stop here, no matter what he does, he has a 4-way go right now, which is like unheard of for a running back.
Right.
Like, this is a running back's dream because he can read this and go a number of ways. He can cut this back to where Shamar James is right now. He just has to accelerate past Osa, who's closing in on this, or he can go straight as he does, or he can bounce this to the outside of where Elam is.
Right. Yeah, it was. I mean,
it's horrible.
You know what I'm saying? I'm a little long in the tube. You know what I'm saying? I'm a little old right now. You can see the grades poking through, but I could have probably, you know what I'm saying, maybe took this one to the crib the way that they blocked it up. But it all starts going back to 15. I probably got you about 15. You know what I'm saying? Now after seeing what Conor McGregor did the other night, maybe I need to chill on that.
15 in a torn ACL, something like that.
Yeah, after seeing what Conor did the other night, man, you know what I'm saying? I've been kind of cautious in the gym, man. But like Akoye was saying, going back to it, right? The delayed reaction of letting these guys get free releases up to the second level when you don't have guys that can read and react. it's just a recipe for disaster. And then my guy, because like you said, Akoye, he thought about it. He thought about taking that cut back where Shamar James got put in the dirt. He said, "Nah, I got this green over here too. You know what I'm saying? I'll take it all." And then he's off the races for the touchdown. So that kind of shows just one of the things when it comes to our D. y'all don't believe Tucker could have got y'all at least 20. You know what I'm saying? I could have got y'all 20 on that play. But those are just some of the things that comes off of the small nuances that went into play of Matt Eberflus's defense. But when you also take a look at outside of that, Akoye, what were some other things that you were seeing from a film standpoint?
Well, not only did we allow guards to just have their way with us, but it was like inconsistency. Like, you're not going to be able to pass rush or have much success up front when you're playing off on the back end and playing vanilla. So we played cover 2 way too much. And if you were going to play cover 2 as much as you're playing it, you either disguise it or you try to you make it, a press cover 2. We weren't pressing. We were playing soft cover 2, which is crazy to me. I think the only time you should play soft cover 2 is when you're in like maybe in the red zone, but in the middle of the field, we'd be playing soft cover 2 coverages a lot. So you were able to get easy releases and easy completions underneath on either side of the ball outside, but then also get up the middle as well because everybody has a free release. There's no press. There's nobody tying these guys up, which buys time for the defensive line to get home. So even when on your best rushes, it still wouldn't matter because the quarterback would always have a place to go with the ball. And a good example of that is if you go to Russell Wilson's game with the Giants. That was crazy. Russell Wilson, we made him look like a genius in that game, but it was because we were playing soft coverages all day. And then a lot of Diggs as well. Diggs was gambling a little bit more than he should have in that game. So I understood Eberflus's frustration with him on that point. But even with that, we were very soft in coverage. And there were coverage alignments. I have coverage alignments that made me kind of like them, which with Kenneth Murray. Well, Kenneth Murray will be mugging the A-gap on certain plays, right? And his assignment. So just imagine right now, you don't have to go to the Giants film. I do have it, but we don't have to pull that up. But just imagine right now, unless you want me to pull it up, I can go get it if you want.
It's up to you.
But just imagine right now if Kenneth Murray was in the A-gap, and the A-gap would be where the center is right now. If he was standing there, we had like 2 third down sequences where they were asking him to run from the middle of the field and get out to the 3-by-1 side. So where there's the trip side, right? So get underneath that in the flat, right? On a 3rd down and like 5. His assignment would be to run underneath those routes from the middle of the field. Regularly, we were doing stuff like that where even if he did it perfectly, he's not going to break that play up because it's 15, 20 yards to cover. He's not going to break that play up. So he wasn't putting guys. I said that because he's not putting guys. Eberflus wasn't putting guys in position to be successful. We were pissed off at Murray, I believe, in that Carolina game. Remember, he had an opportunity at the end of that game. I believe he was in the same position. He was mugging the A-gap, and he was able. It was probably like 4th down or something like that. But he was supposed to run underneath a route, just barely missed it. But that's because of where he was aligned. Had he not been aligned where he was and asked to do the things he was asked to do, he would have made that play. So it was a lot that was going on when it came to Eberflus and his inability to, I think, deploy situational football correctly and adapt mid-game. He wasn't an adaptable coach. The Detroit game, I like Ben Johnson because of what he did in this game. If it was Ben, I don't think it was Ben Johnson actually. Who was Detroit's offensive coordinator last year?
I forgot who their new OC was.
Whoever he is. Whoever he is, because Ben Johnson was in Chicago last year, but whoever he is, what he did was pre-snap, he understood. He saw the success we had when Quentin Williams got here, and we started running those odd fronts, right? We started running, the 5-2 packages and 3-4 packages, things like that. And he knew that when we saw 2 backs on the field in the huddle, personnel-wise, that's what we were going to deploy. Right. So what he did to counter that, and I can get your film so that you can kind of get the visual aid for it, because this is going to be a lot. Hold on. Let me see if I can go all the way back to last season and pull that up.
And then while you do that, I'm going to pull up a representation of the cover 2. Right. So this is what this play was showing. So we have cover 2 on the top side. So if you look on this play, we're trying to show some disguise on the back end because we have middle field close with the single high safety. And I believe I can't see that number. That Who's that? I can't see mine as well. But anyways, right. So what we got cover 2. So meaning this corner, I believe this is Kalen Carson. He has this flat, but when you have cover 2, he's going to drop. The safety's going to drop. So you have to get wide, right? Cover 2, you have to get wide. But on this play right here, you'll see him. He's going to take this number 2 wide receiver. And then you have Kalen Carson assuming, okay, my safety's going to get wide. So he's going to be trailing, looking at the quarterback. And so now you have to be able to turn and run. And when you don't have guys that just has that natural ability, there's going to be plays that you leave wide open, right? So I just think communication, Akoye, soft cover 2, like you were saying, right? So you might want to be a situation since you're already up. And I think this is my guy, Quentin Johnson, right? If you're going to get up, let's get up and press, right? Let's get up and be physical, because when you're physical, you're disrupting the timing. And we'll talk about this here in a second. When you disrupt timing, this gives you the opportunity for these guys to really get home. Now they left a rushing lane for Herbert. He probably could have took off anyways.
And even there though, even that with Carson, or that's not Carson. That's actually who's that?
I can't tell if that's it.
What's his name? Bridges? Is that Bridges?
Is that who that is? Is that Bridges?
That was number 25.
Number.
That was number 25. Bridges, I think. Yeah.
Is that or 27?
No, right here.
No. Who is
right
this?
there? That's 25. That's Bridges, right there.
28.
No, I'm not the safety. I was talking about the corner underneath.
Oh,
yeah.
Who was that? I think that was Carson, was it?
No, that was Bridges, number 25. Carson's 21.
Oh, 25.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. But watch how he stops his feet. There's no threat to the flat. There's no reason for him to stop his feet. He should flow underneath this. He doesn't. You can go back to the side view if you want.
Yeah.
Watch at the beginning of this play. If there was a release underneath in the flat, then you stop right here. There's no reason to break down right here.
Right.
I understand your threat. Yeah. If you call cover 2, yes, you're supposed to hug the flat if you're the corner, but there's no threat to the flat. You trail underneath this route as long as you can until you see something develop underneath, and then you drive on that. He didn't do that. He just stops his feet because that's the play that was called. So he just stops his feet. There's no instinct there. It is the point there. You see how he stopped right there? There's no reason to do that.
He realizes it, but just those 2 little click of the feet right there.
Right there, it's over with. That's where the separation came from, right there.
Right.
Yep.
Right. So it's just that goes to the IQ. And this is why, me, Akoye, we preach watching film, because those little details matter. Those 2 little click of the feet, that changes things, because he could have carried that corner a little bit deeper. That would have bought the safety time to cover. So,
pull this Lions film, and I want to see if this is the right one, because I have a bunch of films. So
is this this one right here?
The second one. Yep. This one here. Let me
see.
Do I control this? This one isn't the one with the call outs, but let me see a formation. Okay, let me see. Yep, this is actually a good example. We can just pause it here, right? So this is what was happening to us when I was talking about us coming in those odd fronts, right? Let me give you an example. The reason we had to come out of that is because they were using, you see where Jahmyr Gibbs is? Jahmyr Gibbs is out wide. So what they would do in the huddle, they would have 2 running backs in the huddle and 2 tight ends, right? Or two running backs and 1 tight end, either or. But when we saw 2 backs on the field, we would come out in our odd fronts because we were thinking run. But then they would take Jahmyr Gibbs and put him out wide. That was forcing a safety, and you'll see in like I said, this isn't the right film, but I'll get the next one in. But you'll see, and you remember, Bell got beat on a crosser, I think by Williams or somebody, number 1. But Bell got beat on a crosser, and the reason he was on a wide receiver covering him one-on-one wasn't because that's what we wanted. It was because of the personnel usage of Detroit. Detroit was making us waste a corner on a running back because Gibbs was out wide a lot in that game, and that was to confuse the personnel and force us to go into nickel. So when they forced us into nickel, they started running the ball on us. So they were making him pick and choose. That's why I say he couldn't adapt, because when they forced him into nickel, they would run the ball successfully. When we were coming out in those odd fronts, they would throw the ball successfully because we were out there with a safety on a receiver, and they were creating mismatches because of what they were doing with Gibbs. So they were making him pick his poison. He was getting abused because of that, because they saw the success that he had when we did that with the Raiders and KC and so on. It was very successful. So he ran power on power against our odd fronts. It was in our favor. It was in our favor. So to get us out of that, they used he deployed this personnel package in order to spread us out while we were in those fronts. post snap or pre snap, right after the huddle, post huddle, should I say? Because in the huddle, you don't know what they're coming out in, so you're like, okay, get your big guys out there because they got two backs out there, they're running, right? And then once they come out, they will spread us out and destroy us.
Because right now they're in a 3-by-2 set, so you know you got the matchup. So you got corner on wide receiver, right, linebacker, and then another corner. So using those resources on a running back, you see what I'm saying? Of a corner and take advantage of those mismatches, and that's what 55 Logan Wilson over there. So that's not. And who was that? Who was that getting torch? Was that it?
That was Revel.
Revel. Okay,
Revel got beat on that one over there.
Yeah,
this isn't the right film though.
Okay,
but even here, when you look at our goal line formation, right? Everything that we were doing, you know, to me is like right now you have Solomon Thomas, I believe, and Osa side by side, and then you have Quinnen Williams and Kenny Clark side by side. Why? Why not move those guys? You know, spread the smaller guys out. We had pre-snap. You can see that Solomon Thomas and Osa are like, you know, mouse in the house. And watch what happens to them right after the snap, post snap, boom. They're both gone immediately.
Right. They
slanted. They got pancaked immediately. And now Sam Williams is covering the C, the B, and the A gap by himself. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then you have Wilson in there trying to make a late tackle. But that's what was happening to us. We were small up front, and every time we went small. So this is another situation where every time Kenny Clark and Quinnen Williams got off the field, you know, we would get abused in the middle of the field. You can see that. Right now, this is Osa and Solomon Thomas right now.
Solomon Thomas, 97-90.
Yep. Watch what happened to these guys. Osa gets thrown halfway across the block. Like he slashes, try to get across the face here, boom. And then it gets double teamed. They got him turned. This is something this is a good lesson for guys who are watching, because I think that people argue with me about Osa a lot. And if you're a defensive coordinator and you're trying to judge who's screwing up versus run, if you can't see, and I think Christian Parker actually said this too, if you can't see your guy's name or the back of his jersey,
his back is
he's wrong. That means he's turned. He's wrong. And Osa, watch where Osa gets carried. So you see Osa's gap is, I believe it's A gap. Yeah. No, B gap. So Osa's in the B gap right now.
Overshawn has the A, right?
Yep. Overshawn has the A. Now Overshawn's going to have to flow back into the B because Osa is now, he's in the A. So now Overshawn does what he's supposed to do. He scrapes back into the B because he's reading that instinctively. But look at where Solomon never left his gap, really. He actually did pretty good on this play. Watch where Osa ends up. You know, they took Osa all the way across the field. And this wasn't to pick on Osa. It's just to show that when we were going small in those small packages, they did a good job of, like I said, spreading us out, getting us to go small. And then once we went small, they would run the ball on us like this and abuse us. And this wasn't just this game. This happened to us all season last year. This is Osa and Solomon Thomas again. So this is every time. These are different plays. But watch every time they notice this, go into those nickel packages, they had success on the ground immediately. And this time, I think it was Solomon that got forklift on this one. But
even Osa, it looks like both of them are struggling anchoring in versus double teams. So and teams are going to eat that. So when you're lined up in the trenches, as they'll say, you have to be able to take on some of that. You can't turn your back to the ball. Like that's rule. Like it'll say, if you want to get chewed out at practice or whatever on film, if you turn your back to the ball carrier, like that's just an absolute no, right? And you'll see it constantly right now when it comes to Osa. He's getting his face crossed.
And I'm going to take this off because I don't want you to get flagged for being on too long. But we'll do one more. Boom. This is Osa and Solomon again. These things weren't happening when Quinnen Williams and Kenny Clark were on the field.
Right.
They weren't happening. Those guys were getting moved, whether it was one-on-one, double team. It doesn't matter whether it was a combo block, whatever it was. They were getting moved consistently. You can remove that one, but they were getting moved consistently. I have, a breakdown that I did of that, but I have so much Detroit labeled content from that era. We'll be going through each one, trying to figure out which one's the right one.
Because me and Akoye start just talking because we know the time steps and y'all be like, what the hell are they talking about? You know what I'm saying? So it's like let's get some clips ready so we can show people
personnel packages though. But that was a good example as to what I meant. That was just from the run end of it. But you'll see the pass end was when we were heavy, they would pass and they would abuse whatever safety was there. And that's why we have a guy like Caleb Downs and Jalen Thompson and Locke here now, because our safeties got exposed in space last year as well. So
right.
it wasn't just Eberflus sucks. We also had personnel
Right.
issues as well that went with that, whether it be Diggs or Parsons not being here. And then you had guys like, you know, a guy like Mozzie, right? We talk about him good, bad, however you feel about him. He wouldn't be a guy that you would be dependent on as being a starter on this team. He would be where Toye is, a guy that you will get in. Or Overton. We're going to give him some rotational work, but we're not asking him to be our savior. That's how bad we were. Like last year, we were trying to get Perion Winfrey snaps. I like Perion Winfrey, but he wouldn't make this team. You know what I mean?
Right.
He wouldn't make this team. So the reason I was saying like the personnel was an issue, that is to Eberflus's credit, but his adaptability to the personnel he had showed that he was getting long in the tooth. And you know, he didn't have what he needed out there, and he didn't know what to do with what he had.
1000%. I agree. Right. So listen, I'm no Eberflus defender, but some of it was on personnel, some of it was on the players as well. But as they say, Akoye, out with the old, in with the new, you know what I'm saying? He gone, and we got a brand new coaching staff. And I know you personally, you have spoken very highly about our defensive tackle. Let's get to Christian Parker in a second, but Christian Parker is more of a back end guy. We'll talk about some of that in the secondary here in a minute. But Marcus Dixon, the defensive line coach, right? Coming from Minnesota, he had his tenure with the Broncos, also with the Super Bowl team and the Rams. So tell the fan base and the community a little bit about Marcus Dixon and why you think he's going to be a drastic improvement over White Cotton that we had last year and some of the defensive line coaches of the past.
When you watch Marcus Dixon, so the thing that we just looked at, which is our linebackers and how, you know, guards were able to fire off and get to the second level at will. When you watch Marcus Dixon's fronts over the last 4 years, the way that he deployed his line, those odd fronts, so he plays a 3-4, but the way he plays, those three guys on the interior keep everybody else clean, whether it's from a pass rush perspective or a run perspective. The linebackers can just play instinctively, run to space, and get to the ball. Right now, people who don't watch a lot of ball and have never played ball, nothing against it, they don't really understand that all linebackers, not just the bad ones, all linebackers love space eaters, like guys that can take up space and take on double teams.
Yes, I'll vouch for that. Yes, we do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Even the greats, like Ray Lewis had Tony Siragusa, he had Haloti Nada, you know what I mean, Bullware. He had guys up front that made sure he can just play instinctively and run sideline to sideline. When you don't have that, I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're Sean Lee. If guys can just fire off and get to you every play, they're going to have some success eventually against you. So you need guys in the interior that can keep that from happening, you know, because really they're essentially blocking for the linebackers. The linebackers are like the running backs of the defense. Their job is to read the gaps, read the grass, and react. You can't react as much when there's a guy barreling down on you almost every play. So when you watch Marcus Dixon's film and any of his tape, and you can choose it. I don't care who you choose. There has never been, and the reason I'm excited is this. He has never had linebackers as talented as the linebackers that we complain about on this roster. He's never had them. When you look at Alex Singleton, if you could pull up his stats, or you could just look at it whenever you guys want. Alex Singleton in Denver on Marcus Dixon's first 2 years there, or his only 2 years there, he went from being a guy that'll get you 130 tackles, 120 tackles, which is respectable for any linebacker, to instantly 163 his first year, and he missed a game. 177 his second year, right? And in both those seasons, to give you an example as to how crazy that is, the All-Pros that year didn't even hit that. Roquan Smith had like 150 something, and Fred Warner had like 130 tackles, right? So Singleton had almost 40 tackles more than your All-Pros. You know what I mean? That's how easy it is to play linebacker. And I don't want to say easy, but how beneficial it is to play linebacker behind the Marcus Dixon front. So when I say that Marcus Dixon, people think that I think that Marcus Dixon is a linebacker coach because I keep talking about how Marcus Dixon is going to be the answer to linebacker. They're like, no, Akoye, he coaches the defensive line. No, when Marcus Dixon's fronts keep linebackers clean, linebackers excel. Even your average linebacker becomes good. Your good linebacker will become great. And that's why I say, if you like Demo, if you like Winters already, if you think Barham has potential, watch Marcus Dixon film, and I have some film for you to watch because this isn't an anomaly. Because if it was, I would say, okay, it's just Alex Singleton. Maybe he just excelled with Marcus Dixon, right?
But then he had support the channel. Make sure you guys.
Oh, you had to put
Matt Milano.
Put this one on mute.
And then,
boom, there we go.
There you go.
But he had Josie Jewell as well, right? When he had Josie Jewell had, I think, 128 tackles his first year alongside Alex Singleton. Last 2 seasons, and you'll see this is last season, but the last 2 seasons he had Blake Cashman. Last season he had Blake Cashman and a guy by the name of Eric Wilson. This film is about Eric Wilson and showing what his fronts do, number one, but also what Eric Wilson, who is a journeyman. Eric Wilson has been in the league 9 years. You don't know who he is, do you, J Tuck?
No.
No one does, because he's been a special teamer and a backup his entire 9-year career. This was his second year starting. The year before, he started half the season because someone got hurt for Green Bay. He started half the season for Green Bay, which is how he got the job in Minnesota last year. So in 2024, he started for Green Bay for half a season, and he started this season. He had 122 tackles last year, 17 tackles for loss. That's number 55 you're going to be looking at. 17 tackles for loss and 6.5 sacks. If you didn't call him Eric Wilson and you just said that was Barham, that was Michael Park, you'd be like,
going crazy.
That's a Pro Bowl season. Well,
right, you're going crazy.
But it's Eric Wilson, who never did anything in this league. Suddenly, Marcus Dixon arrives. Him and Blake Cashman took off. Blake Cashman had 144 tackles in 13 games. If he'd have played the entire season, we all wanted Jalen Brooks, right? Jalen Brooks had 183 tackles, and we were like, look at how many tackles he gets, right?
Right.
Blake Cashman was averaging the same amount. So if he played the 4 more games he was supposed to play, he would have surpassed or matched what Jalen Brooks did. Nobody's trying to argue that Blake Cashman is as good as Jordan Brooks. Nobody's arguing that, right? But he would have put up his same production because of the fronts that he's playing behind. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's why I look at the guys that the guys we have, and I say, do you think that Blake Cashman is better than Demo? I don't. Do you think that he's better than Winters? I don't. I don't think he's even better than Barham potentially, right? I don't look at Eric Wilson's definitely not better than those guys. Alex Singleton is not better than those guys. Josh Metellus is a safety, so he's not a better linebacker than those guys. And the year before, in 2024, Josh Metellus was able to play linebacker in the same front successfully, had 106 tackles as a safety playing in the box. Now, we did that. When we put safeties in the box, they got exposed.
Right, because they get to the next level. Right, exactly.
When they put safeties in the box, they can just run the space and tackle because they're not getting touched. They're not getting touched. And I watched every snap, 6 games, every snap over 6 games over 4 seasons. All right, so that's 24 games of footage, and it doesn't miss a beat, and it doesn't disappoint, right? So I'm going to go ahead and play this. All right, let me see if this is the long form. I believe it is. Boom, here we go. I think this is the first play. Yeah. So you'll see to the right, that's Eric Wilson. Just watch Eric. On this one, he made me a liar on this particular play, because on this play, he blows up the tight end, number 18. He's going to blow him up on this play. So I said in Marcus Dixon's fronts, you usually don't have to shed any blocks. It's not necessary. On this particular play, he blew 18 up and still made the tackle. I love what he did there. Boom, met him in the gap. He knocked him out of there and made.
And so earlier when I was talking about slipping versus punching, that's
a punch.
That's coming down punching, right? You know
that's a punch, but he's also punching the tight end.
I would do it on occasion, depending. You know what I'm saying? When I ate
tight end or a running back, take a shot.
Yeah, but I didn't want to do it a lot. You know what I'm saying? And so exactly.
Right. Now, when you look here, though, when you watch the rest of this, the footage, and we're going to keep going, but when you look here, you'll pay attention to not only the spacing. So we were talking about odd fronts. Pay attention to the spacing. Right. Boom. So you see these 3 in the interior. Jonathan Allen. I don't know 90. I think that's 97. Can't really see the numbers there, but those 3 interior defensive linemen, their job is to occupy the 5 offensive linemen that are there, right? So those guys are they're people eaters. Their job is to soak up space so that you're forced to come out in those 12 and 13 personnel. Look,
and so if you just pause it, right, and let's say we're looking at from a offensive line running back lane, right? Look at the green grass that's available now for those linebackers to flow downhill.
Exactly.
Compared to what we were showing with the Cowboys.
Exactly.
You know
there's no one on the second level, although this is a pass play, I believe, but there would be no one on the second level either way, because his scheme, the job of those guys on the interior is to soak up all 5 or 4 at least of those offensive linemen so that they don't get to the second level. So you have to be able to not just take on a double team, but be disruptive with a double team.
Right.
That's what you have to do in his scheme. So that's why guys like Osa weren't gonna fit here, because they're not guys that can take on double teams consistently. Right. Mm-hmm. Now, the reason this happens, the reason this sack happens, right, is because the way this is something that we were doing, I was showing anyway with Rashawn Gary. They do a lot of rerouting in his scheme as well, even though this is play action. But they do a lot of rerouting. What I mean by that is, if you look to the right, you see Van Ginkel. He's kind of being blocked by both tight ends, but when those guys release late, they don't have time to get the ball out. If you look at the offensive line, just count how many bodies are on the offensive line. So that'll tell you how many people are out wide. The running backs here, you have the full offensive line. So you have 6 linemen. So they brought in that's a tight end. So they brought in, 2 tight ends. They have 5 offensive linemen, the running back, and the quarterbacks here. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
There's only 2 men out. There's nobody out, right? But we're not committed. We're not blitzing. We have 1 extra guy coming, but it's not like an all-out blitz. So you got 5 on 2. How hard is it? It's 5 versus 2 in coverage. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So the quarterback, even though there's not a great pass rush on this play, the quarterback has to hold the ball longer than he wants to, because it's taking forever for his guys out there to get open. They can't get open because there's a mismatch numerically, right? So it's either a numbers mismatch in coverage, and reroutes, meaning they're going to tie you up where you don't get the quick check downs, and you have a number, and it's a numbers mismatch. And then when they flood the line of scrimmage the way they do here, the offenses were forced to adjust to Marcus Dixon and Flores's defense rather than them trying to adapt and adjust to the offense. Right. So it made them go bigger. So you're going bigger. Go ahead.
Exactly. So going back to what you were saying about last year, Matt Eberflus, right? In those games versus Detroit, the Detroit offense dictated our defense, right? Exactly. Versus Marcus Dixon dictates what the offense is going to do. So it's about having control. And you're saying, like Akoye is saying, the numbers game, right? If you got max protect in the offensive line, right, but you only got 2 wide receivers, but you got 5 secondary players still available, it should work in your favor from a defensive standpoint.
100%. If you look here, watch this play. Now tell me how hard it is to play linebacker if this is what you got, right? This is what you're dealing with. Does he have to shed a block? Is anybody on the second level? No, because they have their hands full with the guys that they're blocking. Right. They even have Cooper Kupp, who should be either spilling out just in case they were trying to show a different look. He could spill out to just say, okay, the next play we can run a play action off that same look. He's in blocking as well. Now watch when they hit that gap. So the crowded line of scrimmage, when he hits that gap, there's nothing for him there, right? There's nowhere for him to go. That's the only place the running back can go because the edge is set, and all he has to do is run down and fill as Eric Wilson. That's all he has to do. There was no shedding necessary.
No shedding, shoulders squared, line of scrimmage, no defensive lineman getting turned around. You're not seeing no nameplates out there. None. So this is what it's about, y'all. Like I said, from a linebacker's perspective, you love this, right? Clean, you know what I'm saying? I want Mike and me likes to pause me all the time, but clean pockets of grass that these linebackers can run through freely and come downhill and make tackles.
Right.
But you have to have guys that can anchor in and take on those double teams. If you show this play, Akoye, just slowly play it.
This is the next play. So you want to go back to that?
Go back to that first play where he filled the plays a second ago. All right. So if you're just watching the Minnesota Vikings front, all right, let's say the white line that they're on, the line of scrimmage, that's an imaginary line, right?
Right.
Look how they're still on the line of scrimmage even after contact.
No one's on the second level.
Nobody is on the second level. There's no offensive lineman on the second level, right? because these guys and there's no defensive lineman getting pushed back. Everyone is anchored in right there on the line of scrimmage, taking up blocks, taking up double teams, allowing those linebackers to go out there and flow and make plays.
Yep, and then that makes it easy for a linebacker to do what he does, which is just read and react. He does, and this is why a guy who's a journeyman who didn't really catch on, couldn't really start anywhere, why suddenly he can have that type of season, a Pro Bowl level season, is because of the fronts that he was playing behind. This time they're bringing pressure, mugging the A gap, and that's another thing that we're going to do a lot of. Disguises pre-snap, but we'll get into that later when we talk about Christian Parker. But they're mugging the A gap here, right? Now, again, the offensive line can't block everybody. I don't care who you are, they can't block everybody, right? So now they have a tight end in, and they have Charbonnet in to help block. Now watch this. Now outside, you see there's going to be I think Van Ginkel's rerouting. Yeah, Van Ginkel's rerouting Cooper Kupp here, right? So you see that? Boom. These are things that we saw Rashawn Gary doing last year in Green Bay as well. We'll do a little bit of it here, but it'll be both outside linebackers' responsibility. The reason they're doing this is because, like, think about this. Pre-snap, it looks like Van Ginkel's coming, right? So now you have your tight end in for max protection, but he doesn't have anybody to block because his guy is rerouting. So not only do they force you into a personnel package that you don't want to be in, they make you waste personnel. You're wasting it. Right now you see 75 is pinching because he thinks that I think this is the safety. He thinks that safety's coming as right in front. No, that's Cashman. He thinks Cashman's coming, right? So 75 is watching Cashman. 72 is watching that defensive end. I think that's Dallas Turner, right? And then you see here, boom. And then you have 22 Smith is free. So now 75 is going to pick up Smith, right? Well, who's picking up Eric Wilson? Charbonnet's picking him up, but he was late to the party. Charbonnet is trying to get across face to go block him. You know, this is an overload. This is a nightmare for any offensive line. It doesn't matter how good you can block as a lineman. If you have to make decisions like this, you don't know who to block.
And to go back, right, Mike Zimmer, he was infamous for the A-gap mug, right?
Simulated double A gap.
Exactly, the simulated pressure, because when you have this linebacker in your A gap, you have to account for that. If some of you guys who play college football, the video game, you guys have seen the double A gap mug. It's the most notorious deep, but it causes confusion with the offensive line because are they coming? Are they going?
Who is going to be every time too?
So there's a lot. There could be stunts. So you don't have time to make those decisions because as soon as the ball snaps, everything is happening, right? So all you're looking for from a defensive coordinator standpoint is just that one, just like you saw in that play Akoye to show that one lapse in, oh my God, who was I supposed to get the safety? Oh, I reached for the safety, but he's dropping. And now you have a tight end that's unoccupied, sitting in space. And now you're able to get pressure that's being unaccounted for. So that shows the different things you can do on the front end to create pressure. It's not always about winning the one-on-one pass rush. You can win and get pressure and get sacks and all that fun stuff with your scheme if you got a defensive coordinator. You know what I'm saying?
I just said here, I said, imagine Barham with this type of look. Barham or Demo with just a running back to deal with, or whomever you put in that A gap. But just imagine them only having to deal with a running back on a regular basis. Like, this is normal for Minnesota. This is what they did to us too. So this is not an anomaly. They did this to us as well. They smoked us too. This is the reason. This is the reason Marcus Dixon is here, is because of what they did to us when we played them. You know what I mean? They beat us without a quarterback. You know what I mean? They didn't have a quarterback, and they beat us. But you see Eric Wilson there. That's another sack for Eric Wilson because of the scheme. He didn't. What pass rush was there? Did he do a swim move? Was there any type of pass rush move? Nothing. Nope. He doesn't have pass rush moves. He still got 6 sacks, but he got 6 sacks because of the scheme. The scheme got him 6 sacks. So what do you think a talented rusher like Barham could do, who can actually rush as well? You know what I mean? Who's more explosive, bigger, and everything, right? So that's why I say I like our linebackers' chances with this scheme. I like what they're going to do. Here again, I think this is another pass play, if I'm remembering correctly. It's been a while. Yeah, this is a pass play. So your linebackers do have to be able to cover in space, but while they're covering, watch what's happening here, right? So look at the line of scrimmage. It doesn't look like we're prepared, right? Boom. So there's a reroute there by Van Ginkel, and then you see Eric Wilson's out there covering 88, right? 88 is who's getting the ball in the first place. But look at the offensive line. Look at the offensive line. Look at how much chaos is there in the A gap, and and Darnold has to stand in there and deliver, even when he delivers this ball.
No Minnesota Vikings out there getting pushed out that line of scrimmage.
And these guys, Jonathan Allen ain't no joke, and neither is Redmond. But you wouldn't tell me that Jonathan Allen and Redmond are better. They're not. They're not even close. So if you're telling me we're going to get these type of looks and these type of simulated pressures on top of what these guys can do individually anyway, and he's creating situations for them to be one-on-one on a regular basis, it's over with. Now, this is another pass play. I want you guys to pay attention here, right? Watch post-snap, watch this. You see Van Ginkel in the slot right there? Right? Van Ginkel's at the bottom of the screen and like second guy in. He's blocked. I think I think that's Cooper Kupp right there that he's rerouting. But you see he's rerouting. And then on the other side, top of the screen, that's Jonathan Grenard. So both of their outside linebackers on this play are rerouting. Oh, no, that's actually Eric Wilson who's covering. Jonathan Grenard's not in this game. So Eric Wilson's covering there. Sorry about that, folks. But either way, right now, Darnold has the ball in his hand. Where can he go with the ball? At the bottom of the screen, both guys are pressed. So to his right, he can't deliver that ball there. And then to his left, where he wants to go, Eric Wilson's in good position. He could throw this ball anyway if he wanted to.
Right on
that's the only place he can go, and that might not be what the scheme or the OC has even called for on this particular play. He's waiting for this receiver.
Scroll up a little, rewind this slightly. I want to see what was okay. So so we got off on both sides. Okay, I just want to double check that they're playing off.
Yep, playing off. Boom.
Yeah, but you're rerouting from the linebackers, right? You're rerouting that number 2, that tight end underneath right there. Exactly.
Right. And when he's him rerouting that makes it so that Blake Cashman doesn't have to be a great coverage middle linebacker. He's going to get a hand delivery from Van Ginkel, because of that reroute. And your safeties don't have to rush to their spots. Because if you let these guys run a free release like we just saw against Detroit when we were watching the Cowboys footage, Hooker had no choice but to react to the middle of the field because of how fast those guys got up on him. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
They're not getting up on you at all when you play these type of fronts and when you play the back in the same way like this, right? When you're playing press, they can't get up on you. Now watch this. Now Darnold has the ball. He has good protection, right? He has a good pocket, but there's nowhere for him to go with the ball, which gives Dallas Turner a place to go. Time to win, right? He beats the left tackle. He has enough time to win. Watch this.
Right.
We have talent up front when it comes to our pass rushers and everyone else, but they'll have time because of the scheme. This play turns into a sack fumble, not because of talent from Dallas Turner, but because of the scheme. Right now, he's waiting for 18 to get open. He's sandwiched. Everywhere on both sides where he's looking up the middle of the field where he should be going because you have a split safety. So if you go back here, right, I'm talking fast.
All right, so chat. So we'll make sure y'all paying attention though. I'm gonna ask y'all a question. Let us know in the chat. What is that called? Right, they got that sack. What is that called? Y'all should know this one. They got a sack because of the what? I'm gonna give y'all a little clip. All right, there you go.
Oh, that's a good trip.
Make sure ain't nobody sleep in class. You know what I'm saying? Make sure everybody sleep in class. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, we started to cook, but let me know in the chat what type of sack was that called. All right.
And naturally, because of where you see those safeties, Darnold reads this right. He's like, look, the soft spot is in the middle of the field. So he's looking for his tight end to break open in the middle of the field and try to sit that ball behind the linebacker or underneath him. He wants to high-low the linebacker, but he can't high-low him because he just got released. By the time he got released by Van Ginkel, he was already being sacked.
Right.
See, right now, he's ready. By the time he gets released, he's sacked. Boom. Right. Now Kupp is on it, but both those guys were being pressed the entire time. That destroyed the timing of their offense, and that's why the sack came about. So this scheme creates sacks for guys as well. Van Ginkel had 11 and a half sacks the year before, and I think Grenard had 12 and a half. They both were all pros. It wasn't because they just suddenly got talented. It was because this scheme just makes it very difficult for quarterbacks to assess and do what they want to do to you.
Yeah. Boom. And then also what Cowboys fans, you have to remember, this is just the Marcus Dixon side. We haven't even talked about the Christian Parker back inside. You know what I'm saying? Like, and the Ryan Smith done and Cardinals. Like, so there's a lot of different things on the back end. Maybe that'd be a whole different live show. We can go to the back end.
When Christian Parker said this is going to be our defense, that's what he means. You got Marcus Dixon has so we wanted different defensive coordinators in the offseason. We wanted Flores at one point. Well, you go and get Marcus Dixon, you're going to get some of the things you liked about Flores. Right. So some of his pressure front. So you got some of that. Marcus Dixon knows what they were calling and knows how to deploy it. So we're going to borrow from that. You know what I mean? When you look at BT Jordan, we're borrowing some of the stuff that we saw in Denver's pressure fronts, right? And then on top of that, you have Christian Parker, and we're borrowing from what they were doing with the Eagles. So that's why it won't be Fangio's defense. We have it's a culmination of coaches that have different successes based off what they like to do, where they're from. And I'm pretty sure we're going to incorporate some of those things, no different than we did on the offensive side of the ball with Clayton Adams. This isn't Brian Schottenheimer's offense only. Clayton Adams has his fingerprint on that offense.
Junior Adams is Ken Dorsey, like because you got to think about it. Like even Scott Simons, the SMU guy, linebacker coach from SMU, right? He was a defensive coordinator, so he's going to bring a different aspect. So these are guys who are seasoned, right? And I always talk about this, Akoye, going back to the Cardinals. Dak Prescott, me personally, I feel like it's one of the most cerebral quarterbacks in the league.
But
it was something that the Cardinals always do on the back end, how they flow Jalen Thompson and Budda Baker, that just trips his signals.
Late rotations, man.
Yeah, it's just like, I'll be watching Budda Baker. I'll be trying to watch, like, bro, what are they doing? And it's just, they just be doing, but they
eliminate your pre-snap reads. Like you can't rely on what you see pre-snap because that's not what you're going to get.
Post-snap.
Yep. If you watch the Jalen Thompson film, Jalen Thompson will be in the slot looking like he's either blitzing or playing the flat, and he'll be playing. His assignment will be deep middle.
Deep middle. Yeah, there was a play I broke down for Jalen Thompson. The first play, I think it was versus the Jags. He blitzed off the edge. They gave that same look. He dropped from being at the line of scrimmage all the way into the deep middle, turned his body around, and almost made an interception. That
was against Tampa Bay.
Yeah. So they gave the
I
look.
remember that.
The sack was versus Trevor Lawrence, and then he did the drop versus Tampa Bay. Yeah, I'm just like, those types of things, bro. It's just like, it's going to be fun. So what we're trying to let Cowboys fans know, right? You can get pressure based off of your scheme in a lot of different ways, right? Yeah. We used to have it one way. We had to worry about any of this and just say, snap the ball and go, right? But now we can do a bit more creative.
Little bit better this way anyway, because you not only have the talent to get pressure, but you also can confuse quarterbacks and offensive coordinators who think they have your number. They don't have any. They can watch the film and not know how you're going to deploy it this week, just like you just alluded to. One week he blitzes off from the slot twice and gets there. The next week he gives the same look, but he's running deep middle. You know what I mean? So it confuses you because you can't trust your eyes and you can't even trust the tape because they're going to use their tape against you by self-scouting. They're going to use it against you. So I love that. But when you watch this play here, this is what you call a 61 front. And the reason I say that is because you got 4 down linemen on the interior. You see, now they took the middle linebacker, who's Eric Wilson. They took him and put him out wide. So he's now, setting the edge on this side of the field, right? But what they're really trying to do is confuse your blocking scheme. So now you don't know who to block, and if you do, the spacing won't afford you to get to them because those 4 guys on the interior are a load. Each one of them, every last one of those guys on the interior, there are no small defensive ends or anything. These are all defensive tackles on the field right now. So they all require a double team at minimum. And just watch when you snap the ball. Watch what happens. Boom. Boom. See this here? Now watch Eric Wilson to the right. Who blocks him?
Nobody.
Not a soul.
Right.
How hard is it to play linebacker when you're running free in the backfield? Almost the entire. This is all the same game. This isn't like
that backside guard came on a pull, right?
75. He beat him to the spot.
Right. So beat him to the spot, and he couldn't even hinge his hips to get low, so he just threw a little arm out there.
Yep.
And you should, as a linebacker, you should be able to win that, right? You should.
Yep.
Free release, coming off the edge, untouched. Even though he did try to throw a little last-minute shoulder to save the play, you should beat that because you should be bending in directly where that running back is going to be.
And you don't hesitate. If he takes any false steps here or he waits for it, he gets sealed. If he tries to meet it with his inside shoulder, which is his job to do, he's supposed to just meet it. But he doesn't even, Eric Wilson, that is. But if he just tries to meet this.
Yeah, there was no point to spill it. Yeah,
and right now he's looking like he's doing that because you see that inside step right here. Right. So when he takes his inside step, this is why the guard breaks down and slows down because of this step right here. I'm going to show you. Right there, that inside, he did it very fast.
It's a little, little jab.
He took a little hesitation inside.
Right there.
Boom. And then he's going to bounce outside. Boom.
Right.
Done. Same thing. Same look. Now you got a double A gap pressure again, right? Now watch how this simulated pressure confuses the entire blocking assignment. It doesn't matter what the quarterback calls. Somebody's going to have a mismatch based off of where these guys are lined up. So those guys on the interior that are in the A gap, they have those the from guard to guard. So the guard, the center, and the other guard, left guard, right guard, and the center. They all have to account for the fact that Blake Cashman and Wilson are there. Are they coming? Nobody knows, right? Now, at the end of the day, because of the resources that they have to allocate to be able to block those guys in the interior and Grenard on the right, they choose Grenard as the true rusher or the true defensive end on this play. So they're going to slide to Grenard, which means Van Ginkel on the other side of the field, who's also a pretty good rusher, he has a tight end to deal with, and Charbonnet is going to flow over. That's what that arrow is for. Charbonnet is going to flow over to try to help the tight end because they know the entire offensive line is allocated for, the linebackers and those linemen that are down to the right. Now watch how they slide. Boom. See the slide? So the line slid to our right. Blake Cashman and Eric Wilson are dropping in coverage. They're not coming. But look at 75 and 55. They're standing there blocking grass. Grass. There's nothing to block. You know what I mean? So still, Grenard is one-on-one right now on the right side, and Van Ginkel's dealing with a tight end and a running back, and just comes in, gives a little quick spin move. And right now, because those four are coming, you got 7 back in coverage.
Right. Rush 4, drop 7. And Cowboys fans, if anyone should know about this, giving someone a headache, it's us, right? Detroit, that's how that Zach Martin year when they whooped our ass, that's all they did. They was able to beat us with 4 and drop 7 because you have numbers on the back end. You should be good in coverage. And the crazy part about Detroit, they were still getting to the quarterback.
Right. And he doesn't figure this out until he has the ball in his hand. Darnold doesn't know what's going on until now. Now he knows the middle linebackers aren't coming. Boom.
Right.
Now, while he's look how long he's holding the ball, trying to figure out where to go. This is another coverage sack. He's going through progression. Watch his eyes.
Right. Exactly. That's what I'm going to say, Akoye. So watch him go through his progression. So he's on his first read.
1, 2.
Then he's going to, so first read, hitch, 1 read, second, get third, back to it. Right.
Over with.
So he is processing, right? Going through his first read, that's not there. Second read, and by the time he's trying to get to his third read, there's the sack.
Exactly. Over and over again. Here, look at the split right here from Van Ginkel. These are things they're going to do with Ezeraku, things they're going to do with Marist if he's playing, Gary. Look how wide Van Ginkel is out there. He's out there in no man's land, right? But the reason they're doing this is because they slid the rest of the defensive line all the way to the other hash, right? So they're forcing isolation with that left tackle and Van Ginkel. This is a setup play for Van. Yeah, this is an ISO or one-on-one for Van Ginkel. But the confusion opposite side, because they're going to blitz, I think, Harrison Smith opposite side. Let me see who they blitz on this side. I think it might be Murphy, actually. But boom. So you see what happens with Van Ginkel. First, he runs upfield like he's going to cover. And then, so he goes, it's like a deceptive power or speed to power because he runs upfield like he's going to cover the guy in the flat. And then he just beelines right through, the left guard, uses his arms and gets in there, right? But he's not the one that gets the sack. Watch Dallas Turner. Now, Dallas Turner's right here to your left, right? But because of the blitz outside, Dallas Turner does not get blocked by that tight end. And because they're pinching down, the offensive line is trying to pinch down on those big bodies in the A gap and the B gap, right? So you see that right tackle is looking for 97. He's not thinking about Turner because he thinks that the tight end is going to block inside out because on any play, even if there is a blitz, you're supposed to block inside out, meaning the outside guy that's blitzing the C gap. If you're going to leave somebody free, you leave that guy free. You don't leave the guy in the B gap free.
Right.
But the
because
tight end,
want the longest distance travel to the quarterback.
Exactly. So the tight end though doesn't get the memo because he's blocking the guy that's off screen right now. You see number 7 right there blitzing. So who's blocking number 15? Who blocked him? Nobody. Easiest sack he ever got. Boom. Right. Got half a man to deal with pretty much.
Right. And if you rewind it just slightly, Akoye, going back to number 43, what he has, and I've been trying to explain this to my community, is the two-way goes, right? So as an edge rusher, what I mean by a two-way go is you can either go on the outside or you could go on the inside because there's no other assistance, right? So it's like a basketball move, a crossover, right? I can either take you right or I can take you left. And when you have that for guys who I believe like Malachi Lawrence, Rashawn Gary, Donovan Ezeraku, I think they can take advantage of that because last year it was too clunky with the scheme. There wasn't a lot of two-way goes for those guys, right? It was somebody in your gap. So you had no choice but to take the outside pass rush. And by that time, the ball was gone because we was playing the soft ass coverage and the rest is history, right? So
it's already over.
The schematics, I think, is really going to help this defensive front, the front 7, most importantly. Not most importantly, but I'm a front 7 guy. Y'all know what I mean.
Yeah. And then you draw that left tackle out in the space You know what I mean? Where he has to deal with Van Ginkel as well. But boom, easiest sack he ever got because of the scheme. You know what I'm saying? And right now, what's Darnold doing? Still trying to look for a guy that's open. He doesn't have anybody open, but look at how many guys he has at the line of scrimmage right now. You know what I'm saying? See what I'm saying? So there's no one out in coverage anyway. There's nobody, nobody running routes anyway. He doesn't have any receivers really running out. And there's so right now the offensive line that you put in, when you put in max protect and you still get no protection, that's a problem. You know what I'm saying? That's a problem. So they're forcing you to go max protect, and it's not helping you at all because you still don't know who's coming and who's going. So it confused the hell out of their offensive line.
You're wasting resources, right? You're wasting resources.
Look at how many guys he has. Like, there's only one man out on this route.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Look how many guys are.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah. Yep. Boom. I've talked fast, so my bad.
Yeah, it's all right. Yeah, sometimes I remember that people watch. So we gotta get our bag. So I feel like right now I'm in the lab.
I know but check it. So watch Eric Wilson again on this play. Like, Eric Wilson doesn't have to do much of anything other than boom, he bounces in his gap. That's not a shed. He doesn't have to really shed. He just stays in his gap and waits for the ball to come to him because nobody is getting to the second level and pushing him up out of there.
Right.
Nobody.
Right.
Once again, this is another play. Who blocked him here? He crosses 75's face
right there
because of the spacing. Right. But look at the same odd front. So look at the three interior linemen. You see where Turner is left to the left, number 15 to the outside, Van Ginkel to the outside. So what they're trying to do there is get the right tackle and this tight end on both sides. So the right tackle on one side and the tight end on the left side and that would be our right when I'm saying left, their left. But they want those guys to kick out. So those three guys on the interior only have to deal with those five guys that are there. So they want 3-on-5 there, and your linebackers can run.
Right.
Boom. That's what they're looking for. And that's what they get. Well, even though Blake Cashman gets blocked on this one, but you're only going to get one of them because you see here, Eric Wilson, once again, easy tackle for loss. He's in the backfield. Nobody's touching him. You know what I'm saying? Nobody got a chance to block him.
So exactly. I was going to say that. So we watch, I don't know, let's say 10 clips of Minnesota and Marcus Dixon's scheme. We have yet to see the offensive linemen getting up freely to the second level on these linebackers like we saw last year in Matt Eberflus.
Wasn't happening.
And I'm going to tell you guys, this is all improv. Like, we and Akoye didn't chat before this show. You know what I'm saying? Like, I sent him a link.
And I haven't watched this in like 4 months.
I hit Akoye on Twitter. He texted me real quick. We said, let's run it. I loaded some clips. But everything is so synchronized, right? Because if you go back, right, there were so many. We could have went all day of just guys getting to the second level on our linebackers and just running these plays with Marcus Dixon. You have yet to see that. So we're trying to show you guys the scheme can definitely help if you got good quality coaches, which I do believe the Dallas Cowboys have.
And this is why we were going back and forth in regards to linebackers too, when we were talking about, because originally I liked CJ Allen in the draft, but this film, when I did this film, it made me back up off of certain linebackers because I knew the weakness in Marcus Dixon's fronts. The only weakness they had is outside runs. So they need linebackers that can get sideline to sideline seamlessly. So I looked at Allen as a guy that's not a sideline to sideline guy. I thought he was more downhill. And it made me like your guy more, Hill Jr. I said, okay, because Hill Jr.'s knock for me was he ain't the biggest block shedder in the world, but in this scheme, it don't matter.
And you had Anthony Hill flowing freely, man, on this, man. It'd have been chaos. You know?
I like Barham too, so it's like I was happy with what we got, but at the same time, I was like, Hill Jr. would do great in this. I mean, shit, at the end of the day, Kyle Lewis would do great in this. It doesn't matter because who's blocking, who's able to block Wilson on this play. You know, that tackle or guard is going to spill out. Let's see who spills out. I think it's the tackle. Boom, waits for him. He crosses his face like nothing. Gets to this play, gets sideline to sideline. So, get what I'm saying? Like, so this is why when you look at what we're doing here and the personnel we have, you can't tell me. Now, Minnesota did great, right? But they don't have a better front seven than we do on paper. I don't care. Nobody can tell me because I look at their linebackers. I say, okay, their linebackers aren't better. And even when you look at their defensive line, their interior line isn't better. Van Ginkel isn't better. You could say Grenard is. I like Grenard a lot, but I would say that Grenard is a guy that, to me, once he got injured. You know, we're going to see if he gets back from his shoulder injury and gets back to form. But you know, Grenard is probably the only guy on that line that you could say, "Hey, he's good." You know what I mean?
Right.
But at the end of the day, you know, I think that both him and Van Ginkel were all pros as a result of Marcus Dixon. I don't think they'll be all pros again. I just really now maybe they will. but they weren't before. So I don't think they will be.
Exactly.
You know I mean? Unless you continue to do the things that he implemented, then you may see the same results. But you see here, how hard is this as a linebacker? This is another one. Watch this. Watch Eric Wilson on this play. Who's blocking him? How many plays have we seen where he's just able to run into the backfield?
Clean.
How hard is that?
Right.
You know what I mean? This is like a linebacker's dream. This is a linebacker's dream. You know what I mean? That's another tackle for loss.
It is Cowboys Nation. You know what I'm saying? I would love it. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, man, coach my man Marcus Dixon might have me looking a little. Yeah.
Again, this is another one. Look, again.
Right.
Anybody touch him on that? He's not getting touched. Now, this is him against Detroit, right? Same concept when we were talking about how they reroute. At the top, they're pressing, right? You see Van Ginkel in the passing lane, the seam at the top. Then at the bottom of the screen, you see Grenard rerouting. Right now, there's only one place to go with the ball, and it's the place you don't want to go, middle of the field. He has to hold this ball and wait. But look at the backfield right now. Goff can't wait.
Right. It's chaos coming.
Yes, they're already there.
And I think that pressure came from the interior.
Yeah, this is Eric Wilson. Again, he has to deal with what's his, oh no, that's not it. He's not dealing with the running back. But they just do a twist stunt right here. So this is him and this is him and Blake Cashman.
And I didn't talk about that, Akoye. The one thing also that stood out to me last year, the twists and the stunts under Eberflus, you just didn't. Yeah, it was just clunky, right? It just didn't seem like there was no intent when you're running these twists and these crash stunts, right? You have to go with intent, and I just feel like it just wasn't there last year. And you see that that one twist looked cleaner than 1,000 ones that I watched last year for the Dallas Cowboys.
Because his job. So Cashman's job is to wedge and get in the backfield, right? So he's supposed to wedge across so he buys Wilson space, and he does. Right. Wilson just gets across the guard's face and he doesn't have any room because of Cashman. Boom.
Right.
Easy sack. Nobody blocked him. So it's not he didn't get 6.5 sacks because he's a pass rusher. It will say that on paper. So you might get him and say, "Oh, we're going to get sacks out of this guy." If you were to go get Wilson, you'd be like, if you look at his stats, you'd be like, "Oh, he can get in the backfield." Only reason he was in the backfield is because nobody was touching him. The scheme created these sacks for him. This is another one. So he's pressing here. Again, they're pressing it in the seam and on the bottom of the screen. And look here. Boom. It's just him and Gibbs. Gibbs ain't the best pass blocker, as you can see. It's already over with. Where can Goff go with this ball right now?
Right.
It's already over with, though.
Right.
It's over with. Boom.
Can you go to an end zone shot just at the front? Because I saw someone say that, it's going to be a 3-man front. I think a lot of people are confusing it, Akoye, because they think we're just going to have 3 linemen on the line of scrimmage. It's not going to be that way, right?
No.
Multiple times, it might even look like we have 5 people on the line of scrimmage, but there's going to be essentially 4 for the most part, which will be Clark, Williams, Gary, and then whoever, right?
And then you have like Ezeraku out there floating,
right?
But these are nickel packages, right? So that's why it's different on these. Like, so this is just a nickel front. So this is a 4-down set. You can tell by where the tackles. I mean, the defensive tackles are. You see how the tackles are really in 4-eye right now pre-snap. But that tells you that those guys are working some sort of game in the middle of the field. And also the reason the tackles are out there because they know, hey, Grenard and Van Ginkel, as you can see here, are helping in coverage. So that stunt can get home. Right. Even if the stunt was clunky, it's still, even if it was, which it wasn't, it still would have got home because they're buying the time for you to do it right now. They're buying those guys time. They're bracketed right there in the seams. These are the 2 shortest distances between the quarterback and from the quarterback anyway. The shortest distance from the quarterback. These are his checkdowns, and he has nowhere to go with the ball. So he has to throw the ball deep, and he has to hold the ball to do that. See that? Boom. He goes to throw the ball deep because he has to, and he gets killed. Right. So once again, you see the same look, same type of scenario. They do a great job bracketing and rerouting. There's only one guy that is like one-on-one, and he's to the right. And although Goff recognizes it, he sees it right now, right? But by the time he sees
the
it,
disruption on the back end, as you guys keep seeing, right? And Akoye did a good job highlighting when the contact is. So it's like, yeah, we saw a lot of wide receivers just running free, you know, in past years for the Dallas Cowboys, right? You have to be able to disrupt the timing and allow people to get there. So I think that's one of the biggest things that I saw last year, to be honest with you guys. It's just like, I feel like we did. Donovan Isaraku had a good rookie season. It just wasn't enough time to get there. Like, you know, like even with Dante Fowler, like there was plays where he beat his guy in one-on-ones. It just wasn't enough time because these quarterbacks like JJ McCarthy, right, just get the ball out super quick because of the spacing and the timing wasn't being disrupted on the back end.
Right. This is the year before. This is 2024. At the end of this, I just showed real quick what Metellus and Cashman were able to do. Metellus is to your left, you know, right here. Right, and then Bullard is in this game too. So where that thumbs up is, that's Bullard right there, who we also have here. But you just get to see, like in Dixon's fronts, the linebackers run free. Nobody's gonna touch Metellus or Cashman until the end of this play, right? And that's why I say, you know, we're gonna have a great year, I think, from our linebackers and up front in our front seven, due to the fact that this scheme is, you know, it's like I said, it's a linebacker's dream. And then the guys on the outside, so whether you like Gary or not, whether you like Ezzy or whether you like Malachi Lawrence, it doesn't matter. You can see how much they're dependent upon, but how much he helps them with the scheme as well. They're going to give free looks, free runs to the quarterback, along with what they're able to do on their own. So let's say a guy is going to, if you got a guy like Gary who's his career with no scheme, he's very rarely been schemed. He's just a guy that they line up and just say, hey, go get the quarterback. They never scheme him, never very rarely stun him. So a guy that can get himself 7.5 sacks on his own anyway, if you have that guy and you put him in a scheme that's friendly to his skill sets and gives him free runs and things like that due to the numbers games that they play, you just gave him an uptick. If you have a guy like Ezaraku who had trouble getting off of those bigger linemen, now he's going to be on tight ends quite a bit, running backs, things like that. He's going to get an uptick. You know what I'm saying? Even a guy like Marist, even a guy like Marist, who you're playing moonlighting as a edge rusher, you know, will benefit from this scheme. He'll benefit from this scheme. So that's why I'm not one of the naysayers that's scared. I'm not a homer. I'm not hype. It didn't come from me just saying the Cowboys are just good because I like the Cowboys. I really sat here and watched Marcus Dixon. I said, holy, because I was trying to figure out what linebackers we needed, what type of personnel we would need in the draft. So I said, let's look at all the coaches and what they do, where they come from, and what type of players succeeded in their schemes. But the thing that stood out, not only was the scheme great, the players weren't. None of those players are guys that I'm like, hey, you know, these guys are world beaters. We don't got one of those. We need an Aaron Donald to make this work. Not one.
And exactly, because even going back to Osa, I know it's like the Osa, he was supposed to have been that guy once we moved on from Mike, and he just wasn't, right? And I feel like once he became the main focus, it was just like, it's really not there. So Quentin Williams, you know, my guy, what really started this whole conversation, to my dog, Gerald McCoy, right? He was like, yo, Tuck, I was out there with Gerald McCoy. He was out there with Quentin Williams and Kenny Clark. He said those guys are ready. So I talked to Gerald McCoy last night. So to Gerald, he's like, they're going to be ready and they're going to be on go. So, you know, I think that they're going to be the anchors of this Cowboys defense, and that's going to open up opportunities for the other guys with Sean Gary. You know, the list goes on and on and on. But also, most importantly, our linebackers. Honestly, I've been concerned about it, Akoye, because I felt like if those guards and tackles are getting to the second level, we ain't got guys that can really punch through, you know what I'm saying? So if they're getting up to that second level, it's going to be a problem. But if you're able to keep them clean, we do have a lot of guys that can flow in space and definitely make things happen.
Here's a couple things, man. None of them. I said this online, and I think it sounds better verbally, man. But none of these guys, not the coaches, not Christian Parker. Now, you could say Christian Parker if you want to say interior-wise, he had was Ojabo, whatever his name is. He had Jordan Davis, and he had Jalen Carter. If you want to say that interior is pretty good, right?
Right.
So he played with that type of interior. And then on the outside, he had some first-rounders, you know, and then with Nolan Smith, and then he had Phillips, who was supposed to be the guy last year, too. So they had some guys, right, up front in their front five. But none of these players And none of the other coaches who I'm lording over, whether it be BT Jordan or Marcus Dixon, none of them have had this type of ensemble left to right, front to back. None of them. Not the players or the coaches. Gary has been Gary. He's never played with Quinnen Williams and these type of guys. And you have Kenny Clark's never played with a guy like Quinnen Williams. Quinnen Williams never played with a guy like Kenny Clark. Until last year. But, you have all these guys across the board who can flat out win a one-on-one. And now they're forcing you to have to block them one-on-one.
Right.
That's a problem for anybody. I don't care what you talk. There's a problem for anybody who has to block these guys at all. And then if you're scheming them the way that you saw Dixon scheming these guys, it's even worse, because even if you could block them, you don't even know you're supposed to half the time. So if you could block them, but you don't even get to them, you're getting your quarterback killed with these guys firing off, right? So if he had that much success with guys like, I like Zach Allen. Zach Allen ain't Quinnen Williams in my opinion, but I like Zach Allen. I like him. I like Cooper. I like Benito. You know what I'm saying? Those guys are good. You know what I mean? Don't get me twisted. But I do think that when you have a guy like Benito took off as soon as BT Jordan got there. That's when he took off. So did Cooper. Those guys took off when BT Jordan came in. You know what I mean? So I like those guys, but I do think that BT Jordan is part of the reason that they were successful. And even after he leaves your team, if you look at Seattle last year, because he was with Seattle 2 years ago, right? But after he left, the guys that were still there, Williams and Mafe and those guys that were still there, you can still see even middle linebacker that we want, Bobby Wagner. Even Bobby Wagner late, they say you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Watch Bobby Wagner has never been a pass rusher.
Right.
If you watch Bobby Wagner the last 2 seasons, just watch him. He got perfect spin setups, like spin move setups, perfect stabs. Where is he learning it? He's in the same drills. He's getting the same drills that these guys are getting from BT Jordan. He's getting those, right? So the linebackers are even rushing better because of it. Still last year, they don't talk about it. They don't give them the credit. But I think the Cowboys organization understands why Seattle's off the defensive line was so hard to block.
1,000%. And I feel like guys like Rashawn Gary and even I'm talking Slam Williams, right? You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like they have the motor, the toolbox. If you give them the toolbox, things really turn. Because I feel like, I did my film breakdown on Rashawn Gary, right? Sometimes he's laid off the snap, right? Sometimes he doesn't have the precise hand timing. But if BT Jordan can correct that, the motor is there. The same thing with Malachi Lawrence. Now, when I scouted Malachi Lawrence coming out of UCF, Akoye, I feel like his toolbox is probably one of the best in the class outside of Ruben Bain.
No,
but then you get BT Jordan kind of refine.
He was laid off the snap. His first step was crazy wrong.
Right. Yeah. So it's just those cleanups, but the hands, you know what I'm saying? The time like that. So you watch these drills on Instagram. It's the ha ha ha. You're a boxing trainer, right? So those things really comes into play. I feel like that's where Malachi Lawrence really had his strength. So it's like if BT Jordan can clean those things up, I think he can really get this pass rush and these ends and our defensive front really on go on top of Marcus Dixon's scheme, and then on top of what Christian Parker and some of these guys and Ryan Smith is going to bring on the back end, Cowboys Nation. So this is why we want to do this show. Now, of course, right, the more talent you have, the better off it's going to be.
You're going to be.
But I still think the Cowboys are in a good situation right now as things currently stand. If you know what I'm saying, it's only if the scheme works. You know what I'm saying?
The scheme still got to do what it does, but watching what these guys were able to do, and that's both Christian Parker, BT Jordan, and Marcus Dixon, and then the rest of these coaches as well, where they were. I think they put together an A-team defensive staff for sure. Right. And if those guys can come together and kind of synergistically merge their skill sets and their knowledge sets, and it transfers well to these players, sky's the limit because they have the talent. This is more talent, like I said, than BT Jordan had in Denver. This is more talent than Marcus Dixon had in Minnesota and in Denver when he got there. So we have the talent up front to make sure their scheme gets a boost. So I don't see if you look at it from that perspective, I don't see why everybody's so scared. Like I'm not afraid. I'm not saying that because I'm hyped and I'm a Cowboy fan. I'm not afraid just because I sat here because I was, and I sat here and I watched the film till I felt better about what I'm looking at, because I said, well, what are they doing? And if you look at guys like Bullard, when you watch Bullard's film, Watch Bullett's film from last season. No, the year before last, 2024, when he was with the Saints. Oh, no, 2025, he's with the Saints. So 2024, he's with Minnesota. Yes, so sir. When you watch him with the Saints last year, watch him against Tennessee or Carolina. Watch either one of those games. Carolina, he only played like 20 snaps total. 17 run snaps. You know how many run snaps he affected? Now, he didn't make a tackle on every last one of them, but I'm talking about affected viciously. Like where you know, if you watch the film, be like, oh, he's the reason they broke his play up.
They were routed, right.
He affected like 13 out of 17 snaps. He was only on the field in run plays for 17 snaps. He only played 20 snaps total. 17 of them were run snaps, and he affected like 13 or 14 of those. Whether it be tackles for loss, tackles, or freeing another guy up to blow it up. He had a hell of a game, and that's a starter there. He's not a starter here. He's a now you turn that guy into a rotational piece. You turn Agbania into a rotational piece. And these are guys that were lineal starters where they were. You know what I mean? That's why I say, like, man, our talent, even our depth is crazy. You got a guy like Overton, who we would have been pushing years past. Think about this. A year ago, 2 years ago.
LT Overton would have been like, yo,
we need you to start. Right. Now he's just a guy.
Now he's probably just in the cut because there's another guy, Akoye. I think once you get a hold of his film in preseason, one of my guys out of Kansas, that I think you're really gonna like his film. Tommy Dunn.
Oh, I haven't seen him.
3-tech. So I mean, he's a big boy that his motor stays on go. So
I'm gonna watch him.
Yeah, go ahead and watch him. So yeah, he's a dog. So I think once we get to camp and preseason, you really start to see it. You're really gonna like him because we have a lot of wood we can toss in that fire in the interior that we haven't had in years past. And this is what I'm excited about because I feel like the Cowboys defense is built. I don't want to say the right way yet, but they're trying to build it the right way.
Just say it. Just say it.
I mean,
I'm gonna challenge you on that, and this is why. Let me. And you can give me the answer, or the fans can give. Sorry to cut you off, but the fans can give me this answer, or you can. What draft can you ever think of where we didn't need? And when I say need, I mean some of these guys will start, but you didn't need any of them to start.
Right.
What draft can you think of? Even Caleb Downs. We all love the fact that we got Caleb Downs. Jalen Thompson has the very same skill set. So if we weren't playing 3 safeties and you just said, hey, we're playing 2 safeties, Caleb Downs wouldn't need to start. I would definitely want him to start. Don't get me twisted, but he wouldn't need to. Barham, we love Barham.
Right.
You got Winters and Demo. Both those guys are healthy and they're balling. He doesn't need to start.
Right.
But he could.
1,000%.
If he wins, he wins. If he wins out, he wins out in camp. That's great. But he doesn't need to. Overton doesn't need to. Devin Moore doesn't. We don't have there's not one draft pick that needs to start this season.
And this allows rookies to be rookies, Akoye, which is I think is important.
That is what the issue had been.
Like last year we needed Tyler Booker to work out at the right guard or else, and kind of like right now,
we
need Tyler Guyton to be the left tackle of the future or else, It's like we know what Caleb Downs is going to be, but if Malachi Lawrence has a slow trajectory, that's perfectly fine because we have other guys that should be able to go baut there and fill that role. You know what I'm saying?
Go. You know what I'm saying? So, that's why I say it's built perfectly because I'm like, yo, if you don't need your guys to start, but you want them to, they're gonna be rotational, but you don't need them there. That shows how deep and how talented we must be.
Right. And this is what I was trying to echo on online, of course, it's Twitter, Cowboy Station. But here's what I'm saying. We can't sing all these praises about Marcus Dixon, BT Jordan, Christian Parker, the list goes on and on when it comes to our defensive staff and not just let them cook for a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I feel like Cowboys Nation, and I'm tossing me in there, you know what I'm saying? I'm not immune to it. It's like my wife sometimes. Sometimes I go in the kitchen, hey, what you getting? You don't use that for it. Use this. It's like, damn, bro, can I just, can you let me just grab it? No, don't use that for it. No, that's not the can opener you should be using. It's just like, just let me cook. Now, if we start smelling some fire in the kitchen, of course, all of us will come here and say, hey, what's really going on? But as of right now,
first.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, bro.
I'm going to come on snap if we looking crazy.
He was doing all this stuff in Minnesota, but you ain't doing it now. What's going on? So we'll be the first to say it, Cowboys Nation. But as of right now, just let them kind of just cook in the kitchen. Can we see it with pads on right now first before we freak out? You know, because like, man, I love Christian Parker. I love the hire. I love Marcus. Man, we got BT Jordan. Man, I don't like the edges. Man, I don't like the line. I don't think we got enough linebackers. I think corners are starting to scare me. I think it's like, well, goddamn, you don't trust them in
no situation.
It's like, do you trust them or not? All right. So that's where I'm at, Cowboys Nation. But yo, Akoye, I don't want to keep you too long. We got a few questions in the chat.
I'm here, man. So let's go.
All right, bet, man. Keep the questions flowing, man. Like I said, me and Akoye be rocking, bro. I ain't got nothing to do. I saw a question about the secondary. Damn, it's gonna scroll up to all these comments. But yeah, we appreciate all the comments, likes, subscribes, shares. Make sure you go follow my dog Akoye.
Oh, for sure. And everybody who hasn't followed Tuck, I think y'all all know who Tuck is, but make sure you go follow Tuck, man.
Likewise, man. I know it was a dope question about the cornerbacks, man. Whoever asked that, ask it again. I can't see it. But go ahead and ask some questions.
Run up a little bit. I'll try to find it for you while you do that.
Yeah, I was looking for it. All right, so getting to that back end. All right, when it comes to so Smoke, ask the question again, bro. I can't see it. So yeah, but I want to talk about the cornerbacks a little bit. So you know, we saw Siobhan Revel workout, right? Granted, it's just an Instagram post, but overall, like, how are you feeling about the corners? Because I think a lot of people still kind of have some concerns. I personally believe Kobe Durant's going to be perfectly fine. But what's your thoughts on the cornerback room and how that's going to look for the Dallas Cowboys?
I like the switch in our secondary overall. I like the fact that we went smaller, guys that can get in and out of breaks, like Kobe Durant, like you just mentioned. You already had one in Bland. If Bland is healthy, I mean, what I'll say, I'll start with Bland, right, before we get to Durant and the rest of these guys, and Revel. Nobody had a problem with Bland, I don't think, prior to his injury, right? Once Bland started having the foot injury, foot issues, everybody's kind of down on him. And what I say is this, right? If a guy bleeds blue, whether you're a Cowboy fan or any team that a guy is on, these guys put their life and their body on the line, you know, for us. So when they're playing well for us, you know, it can't just be fair weather fans. When they're playing well for us, we love them. And last time Bland was healthy, he played well for us. So Bland, to me, I think if healthy, is just fine. Because I'm looking at him as, obviously, I want him healthy. I don't want him rushing to get back on the field as an injured player. And I think Bland is healthy now because he took some time at the end of last season. And I think in this offseason, I haven't heard much about him, so about any setbacks. So I think Bland is a fine corner. Is he the best outside corner in the game? No. I think that he's much better in the slot, but I do trust what Christian Parker is trying to do with him, with Caleb Downs being your nickel guy, right? But you'll see some rotation there as well, just like you saw with Seattle with Eminwari and Devin Weatherspoon. Those guys rotate in that slot as well, right? So sometimes you'll see a true corner in the slot. Sometimes you'll see Caleb Downs in the slot or Jalen Thompson, either or, depending on the situation and the matchup. I'm fine with that. I'm not afraid of that. I think, and I'm not thinking that Bland is going to be suddenly a shutdown corner that's never going to give up any touchdowns or yards, but he's a fine corner. He's a good B to B plus corner, in my opinion. Kobe Durant is another guy. Yeah. Kobe Durant is another guy that's of that ilk, in my opinion. He's a playmaker. He reminds me of, I don't know if you guys, how old you guys are, but he reminds me of Cortland Finnerland. Remember him? Small. He played for Tennessee for Fisher a long time. He actually got in a fight with Andre Johnson. Remember Andre Johnson got in a fight with a corner and ripped his helmet off?
Okay, got you. Okay, that's like,
that's him. Tough. That's the reason I said that, is because they're similar in that way. Very mean, small guys, but they play big because they're mean. Antoine Winfield type guys. Now, he's not a hitter like Antoine, but he's mean and he's vicious and he has a good nose for the ball. So I like Kobe Durant as well. He has the brain for zone coverage and he's very good in man coverage as well. So he can play press or off very well. I like him. Nobody talks about Darion Kendricks, who also, from a coverage standpoint, Darion I like a lot. Like coverage-wise, he can play zone and press man very well. His problem is the same problem I had with Elam. He can't tackle. Like Darion Kendricks doesn't want to tackle a running back. He'll tackle a wide receiver, tackle a tight end because he's covering
coverage.
Because he's covering
I
those
think
guys.
that's a name that's not being mentioned. I think a lot of Cowboys
Nobody
fans
talks about him.
Right. Like he's snuck in. Like
he can
a lot of people compare him to, the second round corner that we got years ago, but it's like he's much improved from that. But I agree when it comes to Kendricks, he really doesn't want any involvement in tackling. But there is a corner that we did draft as well out of Florida who I think is going to have a lot of eyes on him in Devin Moore.
I like Devin Moore a lot as well. I like him
he's
too.
He's got to stay healthy. Right.
You got to stay healthy. But again, these two guys aren't guys. Him, Kendricks, guys like Butler, who's playing very well before he got injured as well, is back. So
I talked to a really good friend of mine last night. He says Butler is moving phenomenal. So
I follow him on TikTok and on IG, and he is moving crazy, and he's stronger now. So if Butler, if it depends, it's a new regime. So if Butler can kind of ingratiate himself with CP and those guys, and they like him, he's a guy that I like as well. But we haven't even gotten to Siobhan Revel, who I think, I just watched him moving, and everybody was so hype about getting what's the kid's name from Tennessee who we wanted to draft?
Jamal McCoy.
Yeah, McCoy. When he put out his tape of him moving, everybody's like, "Oh, McCoy's running."
Right.
It didn't look nothing like what Revel just did. Revel was stopping on a dime, changing directions on a dime. He looked slimmer. He looked trim. I have a friend that actually is an advisor to Rashawn Gary, who was down there, and he said he played DB as well. Shout out to Robert T. Green, man, cool dude. But he said I shook. He said I'm not weak, man. He said no, Akoye, I'm 230 now. I don't play ball no more. He said I shook Revel's hand. He said, man, he almost pulled me off. He said, he's strong as hell. And I was looking at film of Revel last season. Nobody paid attention to this. Revel, shout out to Revel, man. Revel came in last season, and the fans are not giving him the credit for what he did last season because obviously he didn't know what he was doing in zone, so he looked lost sometimes in zone. But every time he was in press man, I swear to you, go look at the film, bro. Try to find it. If you find it, I'll stand corrected. I haven't seen one play where he was in press man and actually got his hands on a receiver where he lost a rep or gave up anything. When he gets his hands on you, he'll shut you down. You're not doing anything.
Yeah.
So
that's what his claim to fame was out of ECU, right? He was just a big physical man. I mean, I don't want to say it, but there were a lot of people comping him to Jalen Ramsey, but prior to injury.
Yeah, he is like that. If he gets his hands on you, you ain't getting the ball.
Right.
He ain't getting the ball. He took Smitty and threw him out of bounds like it was punt coverage. Like he threw him out of bounds, literally. You know what I mean? So that's what he can do. And I think now that he's able to plant and change directions, he won't be a liability in zone or playing off either, because he couldn't play off because he couldn't stop his pedal and drive.
He couldn't
so that's where he was giving up yards underneath. And then in zone, he was giving up yards because he didn't understand what was going on. But this is a guy who he wasn't in training camp, or he was, but he got injured again, I think, in training camp. But
setback.
It's a difference between knowing the plays and actually being out there and understanding what you're supposed to be doing when you're out there. So I think he's going to be a lot better this season. So if that is our weak point, if you say that corner is our weakness, but this scheme is doing the things that allow those corners to get into position the way we just saw on film, I'm not half as afraid or worried about them as others are. Plus, I know that we're going to deploy 3 safeties as well at times. So you're dealing with most of the time you're going to have 2 corners on the field. If that's Kobe Durant and Bland, and Caleb Downs is in the slot with Jalen Thompson and Hooker out there, or Jalen Thompson and PJ Locke out there, that's a good secondary. I'm not mad at that. I think you can win all. That's an uptick from what we were last year. Nobody can argue that, because we were injured. Bland was injured. Diggs was injured. Revel was injured. We had 3 injured corners last year.
Injured corners out there trying to play, right? So, like I said, it's not a Matt Eberflus apologist show, but I mean, damn, bro, he really had much to work with, you know what I'm saying?
What's supposed to do?
But and I will say this, before we dip up out of here, is that when it comes to Christian Parker, the number one thing I want to see is, can you just bring DaRon Bland back to glory? Like, can you bring, because if he can do that, Cowboys Nation, this defense gets scary. If it's like, hey, bro, let's come in my office, let's watch some of that old film. How's the foot feeling? Like, let's see how you doing, and let's put you back into position to do what you did to get you paid. Then this Dallas Cowboys defense definitely has a moonshot to be, I think someone said, like top 10, top 15. And I think that DaRon Bland will be a definitely important piece with it, man. But my dog, Akoye, so JB asked the question. I said, Kalen Carson makes this roster.
I think. I mean, can he? You know, it depends. Do I think he's better than Butler or Kendricks in coverage? I don't. I don't. I think Butler's better than Caleb Carson. I personally like Caleb Carson coming in. Once I saw certain things, like if you're playing 15 yards off, and he did this twice to us. So last year, you can go to the game if you want. You can go to, it wasn't Baltimore.
Baltimore was the two. Where was the CeeDee Lamb game? Because that was the Kalen Carson game when CeeDee Lamb was throwing a fit. That was at home. So was that 2 years ago?
Last year? You talking about 2 years ago when Baltimore beat him? Baltimore did whoop his ass too. 2 years ago. But last season, I think it might have been Minnesota. I'm not sure which game it was, but he was playing 15. I'll find it for you. He's playing 15 yards off and got beat deep behind him. It may have been maybe the Chargers. But I know it was so ridiculous. I was pissed off. I think he got beat for like 58 yards, but he's playing 15 yards off. Never got into his pedal, so he sat on it the whole time and then let the guy run right behind him. I just said, "Hey, Caleb, I don't know what." Just instinctively, I just don't know what he's looking at sometimes. So I'm not really big on Carson anymore because his claim to fame was his physicality and his press man ability, and you know. You don't really see that jump off on film either. And then his physicality in that Baltimore game the year before, you know, the reason they had those big plays, they were running out routes. He's susceptible to out routes. You'll see he gets beat on out routes a lot, but he's susceptible to out routes, but he wasn't even tackling those guys. Like I think Zay Jones caught an out route and then ran up the field on him, you know, when we played Baltimore the year before. And I was like, you know, your tackling is in question. So corners who can't tackle, I don't like corners who can't tackle, bro. That's just me. And I look at Kendricks the same way. I like Kendricks in coverage. I want to see him tackle. I want to see him tackle.
You 1,000% right, because once they find that out, they're going to exploit it defensively.
Exactly. They're going to make you tackle.
JV, bro, you now got my gear spinning because I was thinking the same thing. Hey, man, there might be a chance. I wouldn't mind Caleb Downs in 21.
Yeah, he might get it. You might get it.
Yeah,
well, you're gonna see a change after training camp anyway. There's gonna be a lot of guys that you think are gonna make this team ain't gonna be here.
Yeah, we might. Hey, we did either Coben and Randy go get that, and Caleb Downs get 2. You know what I'm saying? Or Caleb Downs 21 jersey. That's kind of hard. That's kind of hard. I'm about to go tweet that. But also, like you were saying when it came to Kalen Carson, loved him coming out of Wake Forest. You know, this film versus my guy Keon Coleman. You know, he looked like Siobhan Revel type film, right? A guy can get up, play physical, but you just haven't seen it at the translate the NFL level. And I think we are at this point in his career. Who's going to be a sponsor in the house? You know what I'm saying? Them guys are gone. So it's like you got, so I don't think he's going to have a sponsor. So I think overall, Kalen Carson might probably be on a cut list because I do think they'll probably keep Josh Butler because, you know, especially if he's healthy.
I would. Josh Butler can ball, man. I like Josh Butler.
He was playing well prior to the injury, so we'll definitely keep that into consideration. But yo, Cowboys Nation, we're going to let y'all up out of here. We appreciate y'all for rocking with us. Hopefully, comment in the chat, man. If y'all learned something, just say me. Just say me. Got it. You know what I'm saying? I learned something new. Saying me too. That's why I love doing content with people like Akoye, because I learn stuff too, and vice versa. This is what it's all about: coming together as a community and putting our best information together to help win this damn team win some games. You know what I'm saying? Help win some damn games. So if y'all learn something, we got some me's in the chat. We appreciate all of y'all, man, for tuning in with us. We'll have to do it again. We'll have to probably break down the back end because we did front 7.
Oh, we can break it all down because we didn't even get to the safeties, right? Hooker might not start this year.
Yeah. So we might do another show here, maybe next week before camp kicks off.
Whenever you want. Like today, like I'm the type, like if you say you want to do a show, you know I'm gonna jump on. I just don't ever think to just call and say, hey, let's do shows. But whenever you want to jump on, I'm ready. I'm always hyped to jump on with y'all, man.
All right. So it looks like y'all learned some stuff, man. So always learn. So yeah, we'll link up next week and redo it again. So that way we can go on the back half. Because I really want to show some of the things that, you know, they were doing the secondary for Philly, but also Arizona. Because we see what Arizona do. I think y'all are really gonna like it. So I think that's gonna be the fun. So my dog Akoye, if someone might be seeing you for the first time, let everybody know where they can find you, bro.
Oh man, Akoye Media. And that's AK, accumulated knowledge over years of experience. media on YouTube. So make sure you guys go out there and follow it. If you want to see a lot of back and forth talk, don't think that my personality is the guy that's on Twitter. When I'm on Twitter, text sound way worse than actual verbal, right? Because if I'm saying what's on the top of my mind, but I'm not mad. Like people think I'm like angry. I remember Broadus was like, "Stop fighting." I said, "I'm not. I'm chilling.
We're not fighting.
This is my happy face. I'm chilling." I was telling you the other day, I was like, earlier today, I was like, that wasn't me. I wasn't coming at you because I'm like, it sounds worse than what it is because everybody thinks that I'm like argumentative. But if you want to see good debates and a lot of like just content dumps, definitely follow me on X as well, man, because it's definitely entertaining. That's where I go to exercise my color commentary out there.
Yeah, man. I tell people, bro, Twitter just makes you toxic. It doesn't matter what community is, man. I've known people in gaming, boxing, sports, whatever, battle rap. It just something about that app. It just makes everything sound toxic. Like sometimes, like, why are y'all fighting? I'm like, who? Or they'll text me like, who you beefing with? Talking about beefing with? Like, bro, I was on the treadmill, bro. Like I was in the sauna, dog. Like, what do you mean I'm not beefing with nobody? You know?
And I want to say something about Tuck, because like Tuck, you know, it's just people in general. This is not about just the Cowboys content community, but a lot of people are always afraid to stand up and say things that aren't going to be popular, right? I get crucified for it, but I don't care, right? So that's why I'll say the truth. As long as I feel like I'm standing on truth, I'll say it. And I live to be contradicted. So I don't mind being wrong. Like if you show me something I'm wrong, I'm gonna say, Tuck, you got it. You're right. I didn't even see that. Blah, blah, blah. Why? Because that means I just learned something. You feel what I'm saying?
Right.
But Tuck is one of those guys where behind the scenes, people don't know me. We don't even talk a lot. And he didn't know me from Adam when he did it. But Tuck is one of the guys when I have had actual beefs or issues that, you know, are misunderstandings, Tuck always stood up and jumped up and definitely spoke up for me and does certain things behind the scenes that people don't even pay attention to. I ain't gonna speak on what, because that's your business. But Tuck a thorough boy, man. I mess with. I don't want to curse. I mess with him though. 100 grand for sure.
Facts, man. That's what it's all about, man. Like I said, you don't come across genuine people anymore, man. So when I came across Akoye, you know what I'm saying? Like he's a pillar in this community, right? You make film cool, so it's make me want to start doing film. Like I didn't even know people was doing it until I saw Akoye doing it. So
I appreciate it. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I was like,
I learned something else.
Yeah. So people actually like, so it's like, it made me change, right? So it's okay to talk football, man. And I love the way you carry yourself, bro. Not just in the content space, it's just as a man. I'm always about who you are as a man first. You know, I'm still debating, you know what I'm saying? This talks about me pulling up to the link this year, man. So
man, if you come down, you know what I mean? I would say don't pull up to the link, let's pull up to a bar. You pull up to the link, we fight. I'm gonna tell you, you're gonna be, unless you don't wear no Cowboy gear, you're gonna be rumbling, bro. I'm just letting you know. And I got your back, but I would want to enjoy the game. You want to fight or you want to enjoy the game? You choose.
I don't know, man. I want to enjoy the game, you know what I'm saying? So probably, but you know what I'm saying?
We'll go to a bar there to have some fun. We'll still be cursed out at the bar. But it won't be a fight.
I'm thinking about it.
At the link, we fight. If we wear Cowboy gear and somebody recognize that's Akoye and Tuck, we can take out two birds with one stone.
At the link, man, they gonna pull all their cell phones out. Let's go. I've been waiting for this moment.
I think I'm tough. I was like, I ain't gonna do nothing to me. Man, we fighting at the link. That's guaranteed. And that ain't gonna be black guys. Like the angry white guys is the ones you're gonna be fighting at the link. That's for sure. They don't play no games.
Snatch my hat off. They gonna throw a beer from the. You know, it just is what it is, man. You're right,
games, man. They don't play no games. I'm from. I'm a Cowboy fan, but I know Philly.
I might pull a 6'9", just pull up at a link, take a photo real quick, and then dip up out of here.
Do a Michael Irvin.
Yeah, like, oh man, I was outside, man. I was outside the link, man. Y'all ain't do nothing, you know what I'm saying?
They were like, I just let that happen. Yeah.
My dog hoodie cushions, all right, man. So, no, we might do that, man. But if y'all see me for the first time, man, y'all can follow me on all social media platforms at JTuck151, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Come on over, man. We're doing a lot of content. Also Twitch, playing video games, and then my YouTube channel, CFO Sports, doing a lot of film breakdowns, live shows with incredible guests like my dog Akoye, and getting y'all ready for camp. We are just days away, Cowboys Nation, so y'all know we're going to be locked and loaded, man. So from J-Tuck, Akoye, we want everyone to stay safe, stay blessed, stay encouraged, and go Cowboys. It's almost that time, y'all. Let's get it. Peace.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it.